Welcome in to SDL Live, the Suburban Dads League podcast. Matt Nahota here with my co-host Joey Winston, voice of the SDL, and producer Jason Eady. Welcome in, guys.
Welcome back, everyone. Here we are with episode 2. We're going to have a quick recap to week's 2 games, all the excitement, all the festivities, and we're going to get right into it.
Fantastic. Let's start with what I thought was the best game of the night, Joey. So we had green versus yellow. Your green team, Green Long Gladiators, came in at 5.5-point favorites. Look, just back to back shots going back and forth. The win probability on that game was bouncing green and yellow, especially at the end. Ultimately, green 170. Covered, yellow covered the spread. They were 5.5-point dogs. I think we both picked green to win by at least 6. So a little bit of a shocker there. Player of the game, Dr. Jason Perry, 21, 15, and 7 with 22 pi from your team. You were the top scorer of the night, 26 points. Also added 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 18 pi. And it's super interesting. Some quick stats here, if you want to jump through them. Some rarities, things you don't see happen all the time here in the SDL.
So yeah, yellow actually out-rebounded us. They had 49 to our 41, but like you said, everything was super tight. Green had 19 assists, yellow had 17. Green made 30 field goals, yellow made 29. It was a tight contest, back and forth the whole way. I believe the win probability was favored towards yellow for most of the game, right until the end there. But it was a slugfest back and forth. There were some huge shots hit on both sides. Lewis hit some big-time threes. So did Ian Rose on the yellow. Once again, they're missing DeMar. Get well, DeMar. They've filled in with Baby Veal Rudy. He came out of retirement, tried to knock the rust off a little bit, and he showed out pretty well for yellow as well.
He did. He started out a little rusty. You could tell, and the announcers did a good job calling that out in game 1, that Rudy was a little rusty. Overall, yellow played a really balanced game, though. Their 2 lowest point scorers had 8 each, and then their top 3 had 17, 18, and 19. Ian, is basically an enigma in this league from a offensive output perspective. I've seen the guy put up 8. And I've seen him put up 35. He's just an absolute mystery. He could be anything. But with DeMar out, like you said, Ian's going to be the guy that really, has to step up and fill that facilitator / scoring role, just for him to be, for yellow to be competitive, excuse me. But what a wild shooting night in the league from 3. Obviously, we have a bigger story related to that coming up a little bit later. But Joey, you shot 50% from deep. Perry shot 43%. Ian shot 50%. Even Lewis hit 36%, which is a high for him.
Very high.
All of those people had at least 7 3-point field goals. I mean, that's a wild amount of shooting. And again, we were going to talk about Gray and the 3-point onslaught that happened a little bit later. But what a weird night. Maybe the hoop was just a little bit wider for some folks over at the court this Tuesday, because just some crazy 3-point percentages. But no doubt this was the game of the night. Joey, it was your first week back. We talked about this on the pregame pod. We said you were one of the younger ones, but your legs and your rust were going to be a little bit in question. How do you feel after that first game, with everyone else playing on their second game for the most part?
For me, I felt good. I felt fresh. Me, I'm always good to run 2 games if needed, like we did last season. But my number one goal coming in, I think last week we had 18 to 20 turnovers. So as the point guard, I put that burden on my shoulder to try to calm that down. And I think we only had 8 total this week, so we did more than cut it in half.
You had 0, by the way.
Correct. So 0 turnovers for me, but that's my goal every week, to have 0 turnovers and make sure we can play a nice clean game, because turnovers turn into 4-point, 5-point swings every time. That's 1 less shot you get up at the hoop. So that's my most important stat. If we can keep a nice, clean game, I think we could play with anyone in the league. So I came in, was able to calm our offense down a little bit, was able to find Rob, Perry, Armando. Nogues got his first SDL bucket this week. Shout out to Nogues. So, I was able to clean it up a little bit, and my shot was falling. So that always helps too.
For sure. And, I think Armando seems to be a difference maker
Yes.
in this league. He won the championship on black. He's off of black, and look, black's still going to be winning. But let me just say something. Green with Armando is now the most well-rounded team in the league. If you ask me, they've got shooting, they've got inside, they've got outside, they've got some defense. And I think Green may be the deepest team in the league. And really, the X factor for you guys is Nogues. If Nogues can be a defensive presence inside and score 6 to 10 points a game, I think you guys might really have something special there.
Can't teach
one
size
last
at 6'7". He's definitely a big body down there, eats up a lot of space. And like you said, shout out to Armando. He does everything you need. Even if he's not scoring, he's setting great screens. He's rebounding the ball. He's making good passes. So shout out Armando. Great game this week, brother.
For sure. And last but not least, quick update on 4-point Rob's shooting. On the season, 5 2-point attempts, 42 3-point attempts on the season.
The great ratio. Living up to those expectations. That's right. So segue now. Let's rolling into the next game. The game 2 of the night, we had Redeye Rebounders versus the Black Legends. Red was 10.5-point favorites, and it was a blowout, folks. This one was a snooze fest after a few first minutes here. We had no Jose, the point guard for the Black team this week, and you could tell they were having trouble getting to their sets, taking care of the ball, knocking down shots, getting open looks. Unfortunately, we don't have the stats yet for this one. That one's still rolling through. We had a few errors on that, but we will. But just watching the game from the eye test, Escobido was doing Escobido things. I'm sure his pie was through the roof. I don't know how many threes he hit, but he hit a lot. Coffer, for the cow, he might be the X factor for a Team Red. I only seen him 2 weeks this playing so far, but he hasn't really put it together yet. But they're still winning games despite him not having a full, complete game. I know he's missing the game coming up next week. We'll get into that in the preview. But if he does what he needs to do for the Red team, they are 100% championship contenders. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Watch out when Fur the Cow gets going. That's a dynamic 1-2 punch. We know Red had it last year with DeMar and Esco. Calfer plays a little different than DeMar, less inside, more of a long. The guy can jump out of the gym. One of the younger players in the league. When he gets used to the SDL lights, I mean, watch out for them. You mentioned no Jose in this game, and Black lost by almost 30 points. Red covered the 10.5-point spread very easily. Let's just put Red Black aside for a second and talk about way too early 2-week in MVP voting. So it's a little bit, I think about MVP in a more traditional sense. I think of value, the V in most valuable player as true value to a team, i.e. if you were to replace that person with somebody else, how does that team fare versus like a most outstanding player, right? In my opinion, Dennis is the most outstanding player in this league. He's the most well-rounded person, can play defense, can play offense. But if you took Dennis off of the great team right now and replaced him with call it just a slightly above average player, Gray still has the ability to win any given night versus any other SDL team. If you do the same for that with Black, I don't see them winning many games. Jose, in my opinion, has to be my way too early MVP voting. Joey, Jason, curious for your guys' opinions on that.
I agree 100%. So obviously you had Escobido in there. He was last season's MVP, but Jose as well, right there. He could have easily gotten that award last season. I know we went off of the pie statistics last season for the MVP, but yeah, like you said, if you take Jose off of Black, they don't win many games. And that's not a knock against Lon or Goodman or any of Bregman. It's just he is their engine. They go as far as he will lead them 100%. I believe he missed a few games, even though it was a little bit different roster last season, but I believe they lost every game that he missed last season too. So he is their engine. Same thing with Escobido though. He's right there. If you take him off of Red, he's right there at the top of the standings in the MVP voting. These are two top tier players in the SDL. Their games are just very smooth. They never rush anything. They take their time. They pick their spots. They get guys open. They hit shots. They do it all. So yeah, like you said, if you take Jose off of Black, that drops them down a tier or two 100%.
Jason, who do you think is the way too early MVP voting or MVP in your opinion?
The way too early MVP?
Don't say yourself. Don't do it.
I mean, I would. Damn. I mean, it's me so far, to be honest.
Yeah, you can go back on mute. So next game, we're going to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you've been balling out so far. We're going to talk about the gray orange game. Really glad I caught you in an awkward moment. Mission accomplished there. Had no idea I was going to do that. Wrapping up. You want to wrap up red? Sorry, black and red.
Red. Yep. So I mean, like we said, Escobido, he attracts a lot of attention, and with that, he had good games, good shooting performances from Snyder, good shooting performance for Gene this week. They were able to knock down some shots. For Team Black, it wasn't all bad. You know, they got a few runs in them as well. Goodman hit some shots. Bregman, Bubbles, he hit a few big shots. Lon really couldn't get going down low as being the #1 featured guy. You know, we like to joke around with Jose out on the Don, turned back into just Lon. So he had a lower game, but I expect him to bounce back next week with Jose with a tough matchup versus a fully healthy green team. So we'll see what goes on next week with the black team and see if they continue their struggles or bounce right back.
Absolutely. Joey Winston, top rope on the Don.
Yeah.
Purple versus Maroon had the honor of announcing this game. Purple was 7.5-point favorites. They covered the spread. It was a 66-42 onslaught. Shout out Gary Saka. Hope he recovers ankle injury early. Have to apologize formally for the commentary. We were talking about his knee braces. Guy went down with what I thought was just a little, tweak, walk it off. And I made a comment about a third knee brace, and turns out he actually got hurt. So apologies. Shout out Gary. And also shout out Baby Lebo. Eric missing for Maroon due to a sick child. Some are saying the most Suburban Dad League move of the week was missing the Suburban Dad League game to take care of the baby. Hey, so we talked about this game last week. We looked at that 7.5-point line and went, huh? That's got to be higher. And turns out we were right.
Yeah, 100%.
Weird game, though. I got to say, you talked about it with Bobby during the announcing. It felt like Purple was up by 100 points the entire game. And right up until the fourth quarter, the game was 10 to 13 points, basically nonstop. Maroon hung around. Gary Saka had a great game, 16-4 before the injury. Pepper, a very unpeppery-like game, 9, 12, and 3. But player of the game's got to be Kosher Bryant, Brandon Silver, 28, 8-1, 27 pie. The only other Purple Patio Pounder in double figures was Vasquez, 16, 7, and 1. No one else in double digits. This will be the first time on the pod that we talk about the SDL penalty box. So for the penalty box, first cut, this game got feisty. From the scores table, we had to break up a few spats, had aggressive defense by the Maroon team. Gary Saka, a few hard swats.
Yes.
A spirit call against Vasquez. Did the old give me the ball, I'm open when the other team had the ball.
Yep.
Was then tossed the ball wide open to the lane, and guess what? Hashtag ball don't lie. He yacked that layup.
That's right.
Yeah, really, really fun. Really fun game, and it was it got a little high tests.
All right, and for the next penalty box, we had Brandon Silver, who was eating a lot of fouls down by the hoop just to avoid the foul call to get the bucket. So when you get fouled down there, make sure you call that foul. Let's try to get some more guys in the penalty box this season and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, same for the bigs. Oh, hello, dog. I'm notorious for it. Some of the other bigs like Jay are notorious for it. You got to call fouls because what ends up happening is if you don't call those fouls, tensions tend to run a little hot. Speaking of fouls, as a reminder, guys, there's no free throws in our league. So if you get a head fake and get somebody in the air, there's no point in trying to draw that contact on the offensive side. Again, that's just an injury-plagued play that, frankly, the SDL doesn't need. And for our final penalty box,
yeah, breaking news. Next week, Bobby has to start in the penalty box for having the wrong score in game 1. Sorry, Bobby.
Credited the wrong team with a 3-point play there at the end of the first quarter. And frankly, that game was tight and could have made a difference. But hey, we're gonna degrade Bobby, but then we're gonna build him up. Shout out Bobby. When Saka got hurt, Maroon only had 3. Bobby came from the scorer's table, the announcing booth, drew on a jersey and went out there and played for Maroon, knowing he had a game coming up later. So very SOTL, spirit of the league. Shout out Bobby. Super cool, man. That was really awesome.
100%. Bobby does it all for us. He be doing the score. He's calling the games. He's getting stuff set up. Thanks, Bobby. We appreciate you. Next game we had Gray, 8.5-point favorites over Orange. Final score was 94-60. Gray. It turned into a run out. Gray had an offensive explosion. They had 50 points on 3-pointers, and they shot 40% from downtown. Player of the game was Jason Eady, our leader out there. He had 43, 16, and 2, and the new SDL 3-point champ for season rankings. He hit 13 threes on 28 attempts last night. Dennis also hit 6 threes. He had 28, 13, and 3. Gray, they look like no one team in the standings right now. They blew out both teams, but they played 2 of the lesser teams that are 0-2 now in Maroon and Orange. Orange now 0-2. They were led by Vlad. He had a good first quarter for Orange, but then he started to cool off after that. Nahoda and Diaz also played a good game. Diaz with 17, 17, and 3, but he had a bad shooting night. His percentages weren't high, weren't up there very well. Like I said, Vlad had his career high as well. He had 19, 6, and 2. Nahoda also had a great game. He had a little injury scare there for a few minutes there, Matt, if you want to talk about that in a second, but he had 16, 14, and 3. But the story of the game was they just could not keep up with the Splash Brothers. If you got 2 guys like that who can spread the floor, who can knock down shots routinely, and you have people like the Wall, the Warden, Enforcer Vic down there doing their roles, playing good stuff, getting their own points, they are a tough team to beat. What do you think, Matt?
Absolutely. Yeah, injury update. I'm good. Took a shot from the hip bone from Dennis. Perfectly clean play, by the way, basketball play. Just one of those weird hitting me with a hard spot in a bad spot in my lower abdomen. 36 hours post, I am fully recovered, good to go. But was a little sore for a few days, nothing to worry about. But yeah, Gray's going to be a problem in this league if they're going to shoot 40-something% from 3, because they have 2 great what else called offensive facilitators, not necessarily passing the ball, but setting screens, moving the ball, skip passes, killed us. I've watched this game 3 times now. The Warden loves the skip pass that catches the defender sleeping. And yeah, like I said, Diaz didn't have a great shooting night. I didn't have a great shooting night, but frankly, even if we had exceeded our season averages or expectations by 5 or 10%, it wouldn't have mattered with the offensive onslaught that the Goats were. And speaking of the Goats, I think this would be a good time to do our release for the AP Top 10. And with that, we're going to release our new AP Top 10 hot off the presses. Obviously, we're talking about the Graybeard Goats and that onslaught. They were the number 1 voted team, actually dethroning the number 2, the previous number 1, the Purple Patio Pounders. Purple Patio Pounders started out as number 1, won 2 games, and then lost a spot in the AP poll.
Right.
The next team, the red team, actually inching out the black team. Former champs, played without Jose. They always lose without Jose. They went from, I believe, number 2 or number 3, back down to number 4, actually surpassed by that red team, which tells me that the AP is starting to catch wind of, hey, Reds winning these games, and they're not even, in full gel mode yet, which is really interesting.
100%. Yep.
Joey, your Green Lawn Gladiators on a tier of their own in that 5th slot. They were kind of isolated in the voting. Gray and Purple had their own tier of votes. They were very close. Red and Black were really close for that 3-4 spot. Green, tier 3, number 5. 6, 7, and 8 in this order, but they were all tiered together in that kind of 4th tier team. White, yellow, and then blue. Blue collar ballers 0-4. Yellow, I believe, is 1-1. They won without DeMar on the injury game. And white, 1-1 with Big J. Shout out Big J. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Had a triple-double. And then the bottom tier, tier 5, the other 2 0-2 teams, Orange in 9th place and Maroon in 10th. So one more time, Gray, Purple, Red, Black, Green, White, Yellow, Blue, Orange, Maroon. That is your new week 2 AP Top 10. Joey, thoughts?
Yeah, and what do you think, Matt? What is your biggest surprise on that? For me, it's got to be the Ballers. They last season they were ranked right at the top for most of the season, and then towards the back half of the season, they just went on a skid. And besides a game or two in the playoffs where they kind of pulled it back together against an unmanned Green team last season, they really haven't put it back together to see their season one first half highs. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, 0-2 was a surprising start. Look, they played a underrated white team this week. They lost a really hotly contested week one against Black. And, then they have Gray this week. So very likely they start 0-3, but they played three pretty good teams. Not so dissimilar to my Orange team. We played the number 1 and number 2 team, Gray and Purple. Now we square off against Maroon. Don't want to step on the episode 3 pod on the pregame, but I agree. Blue is a big surprise. But the top 5, I think, are a solid top 5, and I think they're pretty close to the correct order.
Because looking at Blue, I mean, their team is very well rounded. You know, they have 2 All-Stars. They had the Camper and Rosenberg, who was a captain. They have a 3-point champ in Baumhauer. They have a very good player in Furman and Bobby Buckets as well. You would think they'd be better, but right now they might just be a victim to the schedule. So let's see after a few weeks if they can start stringing together some wins and get themselves back up in the standings.
Absolutely. And speaking of Blue, Blue was a 9.5-point favorite versus White, and this is our only SDL upset of the week. We called this one, Joey. Good job. Shout out us. We said take White in the points, and I think we said it's going to be a close game. But we ultimately think White could take it. I think we ultimately settled on Blue money line, White in the points. But White ended up sweeping this one 76-59. Player of the game, Big J. I said it before, triple-double, 12, 25, and 10, which is an insane number. But big shout out to who I think is our early season most improved player of the year, Javon. 31, 6, and 2. Felt like an all-star snub last year. He made that very clear and just came out balling in an effort to turn that around, turn that narrative around and say, I'm an all-star. Also, shout out to Alex, 23, 10, and 5, 33% from the floor after a very Lewis-esque shooting performance in week 1.
Yep.
And a little bit of an announcer's jinx here, Joey. You said, I believe, in our pregame podcast that Rosenberg will get 20 in his sleep.
Yes,
wasn't himself. 10, 11, and 6. But a well-rounded game overall from the Ballers, all 5 players in double digits. Any thoughts on this game?
So 100%. So I just want to double down on you. Yeah, Big J with a massive game. He also had 25 pie, which in our league, that's a very good pie number. Like you said, Javon had 31, 6, and 2. Alex had a double-double with 23, 10, and 5. They had a great showing for Brian O'Hearn. He had 10, 14, and 5. But I think he is quickly becoming one of the better defenders in the league. He was all over Rosenberg in this week's matchup, holding him well below his season and career average in the SDL. Now, I'm sure Rosenberg will bounce back next week, and he might get a better shot at him if they see each other again. But O'Hearn's defense on him was hounding this week.
Absolutely. So pivoting, gentlemen, and Jason, I'm going to bring you back in here. Moment of the night. I think all 3 of us will maybe have a different moment. Maybe we'll have the same. We didn't choreograph this ahead of time. I'll go first here. My moment of the night actually involves my handsome co-host here, Joey Winston. Joey, I rewatched that green-yellow game. Obviously, it was a super tight game, and we all know scoring right before the Elam ending is a cheat code, right? It gives you that last time to down, if you would. And tight game, 64-63 green, 4 minutes, 22 seconds left. Final possession because Elam ending starts at 4, and you drained a monster 3. We're looking at the highlight now. You drained an absolute monster 3-pointer. So that was my moment of the night. Congratulations, Joey. Congrats on the win. That was awesome.
Yep, I appreciate that. So, I was able to hit that huge 3, give us a little momentum. I also scored the last 5 points in the Elam ending. As we all know, the lights are brightest to get those last 7 points. A lot of teams struggle to get those last 7 points in the Elam because a lot of teams like to hike threes. They like to take bad shots or try to get the game over quickly. But those are definitely the most important points of the night. But for me, this week's moment of the night has got to be Edie. It's not just one particular play; it was the whole game. just on fire, stretching the floor, going crazy. When he shoots shots like that, it makes everyone else get wide open too, because that brings so much attention to him. Everyone's looking to see if he's going to shoot. I know he had a little, he was going up against his rival, so-called Vlad, this week, and he definitely showed out. He put up the new SDL record, and that's definitely one of the best games we've seen in both seasons combined. So shout out to Edie for that one. 3D.
First off, thank you for that. That was very, very kind. Probably kinder than you should have been. Moment of the week for me, I actually have two, and I don't know if they were captured on camera or not. We will have to see. One was Snyder being the first one that absolutely demolished our announcer booth and table and gave me the cut before the game.
Are you officially carrying a probable injury designation because of that?
So funny, I thought I was going to shoot horrible because I had a big bump on my elbow and it was hurting. And then after the game, Dave G went to Snyder and told him he needs to do that to me before every game. So didn't matter, but technology was still fine. But I got to find the clip and I'm going to put it in right here. No need to back up that much, Snyder. Pretty sure you had your balance, but I think you forgot the table was back there. That was one moment. The other moment I guarantee was not on camera is Dennis Kelly sniffing the what do you call them? Smelling salts. Yeah, I had smelling salts there, and Dennis took a massive whiff and looked like he was in another world for a second. Very awake. That's my two moments of the week.
I think we need to, Joey, I think we need a league-wide investigation into the smelling salts and figure out what they're putting in those smelling salts over in the camp of the graybeard goats. That's all I have to say.
I know Baby Deer Dan White was protesting the game, but I didn't understand why. Now it makes more sense. It's a smelling salt controversy.
That's fair.
Yeah, some are saying this may be a season-long investigation. Last segment, guys, and this is going to be a quick one. And yeah, please, Edie, turn off your camera. I can't see your face for this one. Our player of the week has to be Edie. 13 threes made, 43 points, which is up there for the overall, single game high. Congratulations, you earned it. It was a hell of a game, and I'm not sure there's anything more to say about player of the week. But Joey, please, if you have another nominee, I'm dying to hear it.
That's got to be it, 100%. He was on fire this week. Couldn't stop him. I was calling that game, and my voice is still a little rough because he kept getting bang after bang after bang. Those shots were falling. Most of them didn't even touch the rim. So he was on fire.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that was another episode of SDL Live, the Suburban Dads podcast. Join us on Tuesday for our pregame pod, pregaming week 3. And one more shout out to this week's sponsor, Stellar Smiles. We had Ellie as a special guest. Don't forget to visit Stellar Smiles for your mouth guards, Invisalign, and anything else teeth related. Thank you, guys. It's located in Boca Raton. Support your local businesses.
100%. Stellar Smiles, located down in Boca. Thank you, Ellie, for visiting us today. Give us a shout out, and we hope to see you again.
All business information related to Stellar Smiles is on the screen now.